Hi there, in this video we're going to look at enlarging images way beyond where they should go. We all got jobs like that. Somebody says, here's a tiny JPEG, I want you to make it into a billboard. So we'll go through the different ways of enlarging and the kind of different effects. We'll even show you cool little shortcuts on how to kind of compare them all in 3 little windows, all kind of checking details, deciding which enlargement algorithm is going to work best for us. Let's jump in there now. All right, let's open up the file in 04 Fixing Images, and it's called Resizing 1. All right, so there is different methods for resizing. So at the moment, this document is 2000 pixels. Remember our shortcut down here? Click on this and it says, 2000 pixels wide, but we need it for a billboard. It needs to be huge. Okay, so we're gonna bump it up to like 8000 pixels wide. You might be just doing a little change, maybe not something this big, but it's under image. Let's go to image size. And in here, what we're going to do is, let's say it needs to be under pixels. It now needs to be 8000 pixels. Make sure resample image is ticked on. And by default, everyone just leaves it at automatic. Problem with the automatic is that there's some other settings and they might be great. The thing we're going to do also is just make this a bit bigger. Okay, because it's nice to see it rather than that tiny window. So you've got basically automatic is going to pick this first setting here out of this group. These are all the kind of enlargement automatic settings. There's just one for reducing, and to be honest, like you can test these other ones because it doesn't have to just be for enlargement. You could use this for reduction. I just give you kind of different looks, and you might find one of these better for reduction. But enlargement is generally the most problematic one and the ones we're going to stick to in this video. So automatic is picking this one, and that's fine. Even if you do use automatic, if you switch it to it and say I want to use this actual preserve details, okay, I can play around with the reduce noise and just kind of decide, can you see before, after, okay, you can just have a little bit more control with even that one. Now, a good thing you can do to kind of compare these three, you can just like be super quick and easy and just go, actually, I'm just going to toggle through that one, this one, and just kind of decide which one's good for you. Okay, so you might decide that this quick, easy, and dirty method is just good enough. Okay, and you can just kind of like eyeball it and say, because this one here, Preserve Details 2.0, is the brand new one for Photoshop CC 2018, but it's not default yet, even though it often has a better kind of finish, or at least a different finish. So decide which of these works for you. If you want my humble opinion, this one here works better. There's a mixture of kind of like noise, but also some kind of sharpening that goes on around high contrast areas. I find it looks good when I get up to bigger sizes. If you want to be a bit more scientific about it, I'll show you a nice little trick. Okay, so I hit cancel. What we can do is we can go to layer and let's go to duplicate layer. So I'm going to make 3 versions of this. So I'm going to say, instead of duplicating this layer, I'm actually going to stick it inside a new document. I'm going to call this one option 2. Let's just call it option 1. Click OK. So it's kind of taken that file, duplicated itself, and called it itself option 1. So it's just a completely separate. It's the same as doing file save as. So I'm going to duplicate it 3 times to compare the 3 different options. So back to resizing 1, back to layer, duplicate layer, new. I'm going to go option 2. Back to the first one, and we'll go third option. You can go through all of these. Like if you are like, man, this is a super important job, you might not just use the enlarge ones, okay? You might use the reduce ones, the gradient ones, because who knows what your content might be. It might be repeating patterns or gradients or weird trippy kind of 3D stuff. So have a play around with them all. We're just gonna do these 3, okay, and close down the original. So my 1, 2, and 3 options are exactly the same. I'm going to start with option 1, and I'm going to go image size. I'm going to go 8000. I'm going to just say you are that first option. Okay, preserve details. Click OK. Go to this option 2, do the same thing, image size, and let's go to preserve details 2. Let's bump it up to 8000 pixels. Click OK. Same thing with 3. We'll use our shortcut, Command Option 3, or Control Option. Sorry, Command Option I to go to image size, or Control Option I, 8000. We're going to go to that last option. Click OK. So now we want to compare them. So now you can just cycle through them if you want. You can hold down the Command key on a Mac, Control key on a PC. If you're on a Mac now, so hold Command and hit the apostrophe key. It's generally kind of tied in with that wavy tilde key. I'm just toggling through the tabs. We looked at that earlier. If you're on a PC, you hold Control Tab, I think, to move through them. And you can just kind of see the difference. Option 1, which is the default, option 2, option 3. I find in this case, option 2 is probably the best. It's a mixture of a bit of sharpness, but it's not too milky like this last option. Let's go even a bit further to kind of compare the three. So let's go to Window and go to Arrange, and we're going to say 3 up vertical. You might be comparing 4 options or 6 of them, okay, depending on how many you have open. I'm going to go to this 3 up vertical, and it just shows me all 3 of them here. Now I'm going to be on this first option. I'm going to move it to kind of where the eye is, and what you can do then is go to Window, go back to that same thing where it says Arrange, and say actually just match all of the zoom, location, and rotation so they all match up. And then you can kind of start doing some comparisons. Cool, huh? Another little shortcut is, remember, shift and drag around kind of moves one around, okay, using your hand tool. But if you hold, actually I said shift, didn't I? So if you hold spacebar down on your keyboard and just click and drag, okay, you can move it around. But if you hold spacebar and shift, it kind of does all of them at the same time. So first up, let's arrange and let's match all. Then we can hold down that shift and spacebar, and we can just kind of work our way around and just say like, okay, for the teeth, that one there, oh man, I think this one here is the best for my option. There's always going to be pixels. There's this goop in here, which I'm maybe not happy with. And what I might do is start blending a couple of these images, start masking out parts. It really depends on how hardcore you need to go here. So my advice is don't listen to me or other Photoshop experts and say you have to use details 2.0. Do the test yourself. It doesn't take too long, and then just decide, yeah, that's the one that works in this instance with this image. Just think of them as option 1, 2, and 3. All right, before we go, last thing you might do is go down to Window, Arrange, and consolidate all into tabs just to get them all back into like this regular old tab structure that we had before. All right, we didn't cover reduction mainly because, in my opinion, I don't run into trouble reducing images. I leave it set to automatic and it picks this one here and it works fine. But again, if it doesn't for you, go through, test them all, see which one works for you. All right, that is going to be the end. See you in the next video.